Have you ever had a guest that you were incredibly excited to have, hence you invited them, but then once, you don't have to give names, but then once they came here, they completely tanked and your position, without giving names.
There might be a certain candidate for president that has been here.
So when I used to do, listen, Joe Jorgensen, I will say the name because now it's like people talk about it, not because in a bad way, but I brought Joe Jorgensen because I wanted to go deeper in libertarian policies.
You know who Joe Jorgensen is?
Yeah, and she didn't want to do that. And when basic questions were asked, I didn't, push her too hard. I asked her basic questions. Who's the toughest debate you've ever had? Because a lot of times people in your world, they just talk a lot and there's no pushback. There's no debate from the world, like the Stanford people that you're talking to. You're going to get pushback because if you're in the circle, people are going to push back and say, oh, you're wrong, you're this, you're that, and you'll banter with them, whether it's on Twitter. There's a part of you that I think actually likes that, to have that banter. I don't think she has been punched. It's like the person that's read all the books on boxing and has watched all the fights, but hasn't been in too many fights.
Well, that's the concept of anti-fragility, right? Yeah. You need to be exposed to stressors for your system.
He's a beast, by the way. Yeah. He's a beast. Have you done stuff with him or no?
No.
Anti-fragile.
Oh, of course. Yeah. Nassim is a good friend of mine.
Oh, yeah. He's somebody that listen, I had every single one of my executives in the company read Skin in the Game. Everybody. If you haven't read Skin in the Game, even if it's not a newer book, it's like 5-6 years old, whatever, 8 years old, highly recommend reading that book.
One of the things that I can put on my CV with pride.
Sick book.
Who's the author?
Oh, you've never read this?
Nassim Taleb.
No. Oh, buddy, this is like mandatory read for anybody that wants to become better at reasoning.
Let me tell you a story about Nassim. Nassim basically hates 99% of humanity, right? To him, everybody is a fraud, everybody's a charlatan. Now, I'm lucky enough to have never made it into that camp. I've always been in the, psychologists are full of shit. This is Nassim speaking, except Gad Saad. All these academics are full of shit, except, Gad Saad. And so I've always said, as long as I've got Nassim on my side, I think I'm doing the right thing, because this guy truly is he's a honey badger, maybe on steroids, in the sense that he tends to go after people sometimes in a rough way where they don't necessarily deserve it. I don't know if you agree with that. He's a fantastic guy. He's a lovely guy. He's a very good friend. We spoke on the phone. He's in Lebanon now a couple of weeks ago. But
he's Lebanese as well?
He's also Lebanese.
This guy is
and he does not suffer fools gladly. He's
Gotcha.
He goes after people.
By the way, you're a self-identified honey badger.
I am.
Trivia question for the both of you.
Yeah.
What NFL Pro Bowler, Heisman candidate, is nicknamed the honey badger?
Oh, no.
Famous name. It's like the nickname for this guy.
Give me a position. What position?
He plays defense, a defensive back.
Yeah, I like the offense.
I figured you would know this. This is like this guy's nickname.
He's like a safety.
That's true.
For Pittsburgh.
True. That's true.
Because my son actually I don't remember his name, but he said, Daddy, look, they're using your term.
Yeah, exactly.
Who did he play for?
Plays for Kansas.
He played for Kansas City for a long time.
Mathieu. How do you say it?
Tyron.
Is he a recent guy, number 32?
Yeah, he's a famous guy.
32.
He almost won the Heisman. He might have even won the Heisman. I don't know. Very famous.
Who's this?
Tyrone Matthew.
Yeah, number 32.
Okay. Pro Bowl.
Check. Is it? Yeah, number 32.
The Honey Badger. Yeah. That was his nickname. Badass dude.
He's a beast. By the way,
anytime he's the Honey Badger.
Brady talks so much trash to they went back and forth, but this guy didn't back down. Brady didn't back down. And by the way, going back to Joe Jorgensen, I walked away thinking to myself, are they prepping candidates? Like, are they doing the behind the closed doors conversations? Like, what is the process for somebody to be the candidate? And then we had Dave Smith here, and I said, how does the Libertarian Party, do you know how the Libertarian Party chooses their VPs?
No.
The candidate doesn't. The party does. So did you know this or no? So the
Spike
Libertarian
Jones was explaining that.
Not Spike Jones. Spike Jones.
Spike Jones.
You went to a completely different. This guy threw you off, by the way. So no, but Libertarian Party, you don't pick your VP. You run, and you run to become the VP. So you run not only to become the president, the nominee, but you also run to become the VP, which means there is no synergy between the two, which I think that system is broken because they got to get along. They got to be on the same page. Very weird. There's certain changes that parties got to make. Their arguments, a lot of them I fully agree with, But Joe Jorgensen threw me off. But yeah, I've had a few other interviews that I did where I was like, this is going to be not that good, but it ended up being great.
Right.
Those are the ones that are very.
Why do you ask that question, by the way?
Oh, just because I'm someone who just lives life to its fullest, and so I'm always, when I wake up and I have a guest coming, I'm always kind of gleeful. I'm excited. I'm ready.
Who was yours? Have you had one or
of the one that impressed me, or the ones that I
opposite?
hated?
Yeah.
Negative, yes. I had a political scientist from I think Boston University that was a total dud. As you know, inviting someone simply because they have good credentials won't necessarily lead to a good conversation. They have to also have the personality. So if you bring someone and you're pulling teeth because they answer you very dry, and especially if you're doing it remotely, where it's I need to get a bit of fire out of you, man. And if I can't get that, it's gonna die very quickly. And for us to maintain it for an hour, so I would say probably that guy, just because of his personality.
Who was better than expected? Meaning you're like, oh, I'm excited for this, but whoa, bam, that turned out to be incredible.
Well, the most powerful one was a gentleman who spent 29 years in prison for a murder that he didn't commit.
Ugh, that's like such.
And I actually have him in the last chapter of my next book that I'm working on now, Recipe for the Good Life. I use him as an example for how to live without anger in your heart, because as we were chatting, I said to him,
Powerful.
You must be the new age Buddha, because if I were in your position, you're a much better man than I am, because if I were in your position, I'd want to be burning down the world, right? Because I would be so angry and venomous. And yet the guy was so gracious. He had such such gratitude at life. And actually he said something very powerful to me, which I did discuss in the book. His sister, I think, suffers from cerebral palsy, and she's bedridden her whole life. And so I said, well, how did you do it to stay so grounded? He said, well, look, I see what my sister's going through, and yet she has a smile on her face. So I had no reason to be filled with hate in my heart. So a guy just spent almost 3 decades in prison and is acting with such incredible grace. And so I said, I need to.
Powerful.
So I would probably say, of all the great guests I've had, that guy's life lesson is right up there. David McCallum, by the way, that's his name.
When I hear stories like that, it's heartbreaking, and then how they can be
It's unbelievable.
positive about it all. But we did have a guest recently, I won't say the name, where he was what I would say non-committal. What are your thoughts? You could go either way with it. Older gentleman, you know what I'm talking about.
And by the way, we took him out to dinner.
Yeah.
And during dinner,
I remember the dinner.
do you remember the dinner?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you know,
You like food? Not really.
I was so excited for him too. I was like, I've been watching.
was
him
he your guest? He was you nominated
I've
him.
been following that guy for 5 or 6 years.
I always say,
And by the way, he's a qualified genius. Like he's got.
Well, that's the problem, right?
Yeah.
I don't like fence sitters. I always say that the ones who equivocate are never the ones who are interesting to hang out with. You want people who, you want that if they're opinionated, they can back it up. But the ones who are always equivocating on the fence, they're very boring.
Would you say that this gentleman that we have in mind was a fence sitter?
Yeah, but you know who I liked a lot? Who called me a freaking asshole on the interview at the end? Do you know who?
Thomas Jefferson's grandson?
It's what's the guy's name? It's he's got one of those, Lucian Truscott.
Yes.
You ever seen this one?
No.
Yeah, I had Lucian Truscott on, and I asked him a question. I said, so you want Thomas Jefferson's statue to be replaced by Harriet Tubman, and you want it to be removed to a different place? I never said remove. I said, but you want it to go to a different location and replace? Yes. I said, what's your problem with Thomas Jefferson? It's his great-great-great-great-grandfather.
Wow. Okay.
And I said, so why do you have such a big problem with Thomas Jefferson? He just kept saying stuff. Find a clip real quick because it's very entertaining. It's right off the bat. You'll see it. Anyways, eventually I said, so who's your favorite president? He didn't want to answer it. I said, tell me who's your favorite president. And he said, Barack Obama. Click on it. He said, Barack Obama. I said, and then go all the way to the end. Just take it all the way to the end, all the way to the end, all the way to the end, all the way, a little bit back, little bit back, little bit back.
I've had a blast with you.
Yeah.
By far one of my favorite interviews of all time.
Yeah.
I wish you nothing but the best.
Okay.
All good. Take care of yourself.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
He doesn't seem happy.
Listen,
Fucking
go back.
asshole.
Oh, fucking asshole.
I wish you nothing but the best.
What a fucking asshole.
You know what this is? This is all the notes I prepared.
And I got to tell you, it's one of my top 10 favorite interviews of all time. You know why, though? Because he actually has a position.
Yeah.
And he was pushing so hard. And he was not like he was hardcore on his position. And we had banter, and it was exciting. But
So
that's Lucian Truscott.
why were you an effing asshole? Because you were challenging him on his positions?
Because the only people he interviews with is people that
Agree with him.
agree with them. And I was surprised that he said yes, because I asked for him. He said yes. I said, great. See, this is the challenge when sometimes like, he's just a YouTuber, and they're like, oh shit, I'm sitting down with you. I'm sitting with this guy. Oh, I wasn't ready for this. Well, you should have done a little research. Well, I had no idea. I thought this was just that's all good. I'm kind of glad you didn't do any research. Thank you for not doing research, because it allows us to have a little more fun.
Here's another question for you. Do you think that given your Middle Eastern background that you take your foot off the pedal and are nicer to guests precisely because of the hospitality culture? And before you answer, I do that because on Twitter, when I engage people, I can be quite irascible, right? If you start pissing me off, I'm going to come after you and your ancestors and your future descendants, right? I can be combative, right? But if you come on my show, all that goes away because you're now a guest of mine.
Yes.
And it's just simply gauche for me to. So people will sometimes get upset at me and say, why didn't you destroy this guy? I said, well, but he was a guest. I can't. There's a code of conduct once you agree to be in my home.
Yeah.
And so I'm wondering if you have the same kind of etiquette.
Yes, but if it gets okay, so for me, many times I've done interviews and I've looked like a fool because I didn't know the information and the other person's, but I'm learning.
Yeah.
So I'm not doing this because I'm trying to teach the world about what I know. That my expertise is business. I'm doing this because I'm going through the process of learning and recreating myself, and I have certain philosophies and beliefs, and I wanted to get stronger. And the only way that happens is by people saying, you're wrong. Well, then tell me why. Never thought about that before. How about this? And then we go into that mode where it gets heated and there's a lot of banter. Then comes out good ideas. So I enjoy those and I'm respectful, but I have no problem pushing the envelope. I mean, you have to realize I've sat with Sammy the Bull Gravano. I mean, this guy's not like I've sat with
Michael Franzese yesterday.
I've sat with mobsters. I've sat with Phil Leonetti, the former underboss of the Philadelphia crime family. I've sat with people that have done 30 years jail time. I want to know like what the motive is with certain things. So very respect no matter who the individual is. This doesn't mean you support what life this person lived, but it's purely respect to want to learn. And it's worked out well.
So if you like this clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.